Hello there, and welcome. Well, I promised you a reading from a favorite author today, and I'm going to try my best to do it. And I'm not using the slideshow, and you'll see why soon enough. This is a reading from the great and glorious story collection from Jean Shepherd, Wanda Hickey's Night of Golden Memories and Other Disasters. If you've seen the movie A Christmas Story, you are familiar with this author because he narrates that and he also wrote it. And this one is about the county fair. This is going to be a little bit longer reading than I usually do, but you'll understand why. I'm hoping I get through it without laughing. As we moved from the title of the story within the collection is County Fair. So he's telling the story of his family going to the county fair. As we moved from one marvel to the next, my brother and I began to list heavily to starboard. We hadn't stopped eating since we stepped onto the fairgrounds. Homemade popcorn balls, red, white, and blue, made by the 4-H, Girl Scout cookies, French fries, boiled corn on the cob, dripping butter, knee-high orange and Hires root beer, peanuts, pumpkin pie, hot dogs, pickles, American Legion auxiliary crullers, baked beans on paper plates, lemonade, Ladies of the Moose, angel food cake, taffy apples, and 1,000 free samples including Purina Chick Chow, which my brother and I both ate avidly. Added to this was the real specialty of any Indiana fair, homemade black walnut chocolate fudge, displayed in thick, fly-crawling slabs at stands operated by beaming Kiwanians wearing funny hats and badges. We also scoffed down about 5 pounds each of peculiarly native candy called Vanilla Angel Breath, an airy concoction so cloyingly sweet that a bite-sized portion could rot teeth at 50 paces. A fundamental ground rule of the county fair was that kids could have anything they wanted to eat just this once. Steadily, we chewed our way toward Armageddon. Barkers on all sides hawked everything from horse collars to Mystic Mohegan Indian's horn cure. We paused briefly while my old man hurled lumpy baseballs at battered wooden milk bottles, his blood rising visibly as the balls bounced off the canvas at the rear of the tent. Other athletes strained and grunted their hard-earned cash, winging into the canvas with dull thuds. A shelf held the possible booty: cerise Kewpie dolls with enormous red feather fans, stuffed pandas, shiny china panthers with clocks in their stomachs, souvenir ashtrays in the shape of mother-of-pearl toilets, a veritable king's ransom. The proprietor, a short round man with a gray chin, played them like rainbow trout. "You got a nice arm, son. Let's see you lay it in there. Show the little lady how the big leaguers do it. Look at that arm, folks. He's tossing a real knuckler. 3 balls for a quarter. How about you, little lady? Try your luck." While my father was winding up, the man handed 3 baseballs to a skinny girl about 11 years old. She quickly bowled over 3 milk bottles and still had a ball left. "Pick any prize you want, little lady, any prize." The sweating yahoos threw with renewed vigor, dollar bills cascading across the counter. The 11-year-old picked up a Kewpie doll and left. It wasn't until the next day that we found out she was the daughter of the guy who ran the joint. We saw them in Joe's Diner eating shredded wheat. It was getting late. Our feet were coated with chewing gum and popcorn, and we were covered with a thick layer of finely powdered yellow clay. I knew that somewhere on the ground, Schwartz and Flick and Kissel were doing things they would lie to me about the next day. Now we were deep in the heart of the thrill ride section of the fair. The Ferris wheel reached high up into the dark sky, its spokes outlined in colored light bulbs, jerking upward and stopping and jerking upward again. It loomed over us like a huge illuminated snowflake. "I want to go on the Ferris wheel," Randy whined for the 317th time. This time, he was not to be denied. My father bought a ticket from the man in the little booth. Off my brother went through the turnstile and into a wobbly car the color of a grape. A minute later, he was laughing down at us and sticking his tongue out as he swept up ecstatically into the night. Every few seconds, the wheel would stop and unload a car. We stood around and waved every time he went past. Finally, the grape car stopped at the bottom. We could see the attendant in blue coveralls swing the gate open. He seemed to be arguing with the occupant. The attendant finally hollered out to the guy in the box office, "Hey, Jake, this kid won't get out." "Oh, for Christ's sake, what now?" the old man muttered. "Now you gotta get out. You had enough," said the attendant. Wah! The attendant reached in and wrenched him out, fighting and kicking every inch of the way. My father took over the battle, dragging him out into the midway. "I want to go on again," he screamed, but to no avail. The big wheel started up without him as we moved on to the next attraction, Randy struggling at every step. We tried to hurry past a merry-go-round swarming with little kids and mothers, but it was no use. Randy threatened to throw himself under it if he didn't get to ride on it. I stood with my father as he whirled round and round beside my mother, sitting on a black swan with a yellow beak. He tried to do a headstand as the man on the flying trapeze played over and over and over and over. After the sixth ride, we managed to pull him off. He emerged slightly pale but still game. We ate a red candy apple apiece, a red candy cane apiece, thus setting the stage for total disaster. My father never went on rides unless they were real gutbusters. He had ventured unflinchingly onto roller coasters so violent as to turn away strong men, quaking in fear. He spotted one of his old favorites, an evil contraption known as the Whirligig Rocket Whip. We had been warned of its presence long before we arrived on the scene. Screams of horror and the flashing light of the emergency ambulance led us to the killer ride of them all. At every fair or amusement park, there is one ride that is the yokel equivalent of the main bull ring in Madrid. This is where callow-faced youths and gorilla-armed icemen prove their virility to their admiring women. The Rocket Whip was a classic of its kind. It consisted of two bullet-shaped cars, one yellow, one red, attached to the ends of rotating arms. It revolved simultaneously clockwise and up and down. At the same time, the individual cars rotated in their own orbits. The old man, spotting the Rocket Whip, strained forward like a fire horse smelling smoke. "Are you sure you should go on that?" my mother held back. "Ah, come on, it'll do the kids good. Blow the stink off them." She didn't answer, just gazed up in fear at the mechanical devil that was now about to take on passengers. The yellow car rested near the ground, its wire-mesh door invitingly open. He bought 3 tickets from the operator, who sat near the turnstile in a rocking chair, the control lever at his side. "Go on, kids." We piled into the car. It was simplicity itself, 2 hard metal seats and a bar that clamped down over the laps of the occupants so that their bodies didn't become actually dismembered. We sat stationary for a long moment. High above us, the occupants of the red car gazed down at us, upside down, waiting for Thor's hammer to descend. The man yanked the lever and it began, slowly at first. We began to spin. The landscape outside our wire mesh cage blurred as we gained speed. We leaped skyward, up, paused briefly at the top of the arc at what looked like thousands of feet above ground level, then plunged straight down. Just as we neared the earth, we were whipped upwards again. By this time, the car, caught by enormous forces, had begun spinning centrifugally on its own. We were trapped in a giant cream separator. There were few brief flashes of dark sky, flashing lights, gaping throngs, my old man's rolling eyes, his straw hat sailing around the interior of the car. "Oh no, for Christ's sake," he yelled. A shower of loose change, quarters, nickels, dimes, pennies, sprayed out of his pockets, filled the car for an instant, and was gone, spun out into the night. "Oh, Jesus Christ, no!" he yelled again. as his brown and white marbled wherever fountain pen with his name on it, given to him by the bowling team, flew out of his pocket and disappeared into the night. Higher and higher we flew, swooping low to scream upward again. My kid brother, chalk white, whimpered piteously. I hung on to the iron bar, certain that my last hour had arrived. My head thumped the back of the car steadily as it spun. "Ain't this fun, kids? Wow, what a ride!" shouted the old man, sweating profusely. He made a grab for his hat as it sailed past. "Wave to Ma, kids, there she is!" It was then that the operator turned the power on full. Everything that had gone before was only a warm-up. Our necks snapped back as the rocket whip accelerated. I was not touching the seat at any point. Jackknifed over the bar, I saw that one of my shoes had been wrenched off my foot. At that moment, with no warning, my kid brother let it all go. His entire day's accumulation of goodies, now marinated and pungent, gushed out in a geyser. The car spun crazily. The air was filled with atomized spray of everything he had ingested for the past 24 hours. Down we swooped. "My new pongee shirt!" Soaked from head to foot, the old man struggled frantically in his seat to get out of the line of fire. It was no use. I felt it coming too. I closed my eyes and the vacuum forces of outer space just dragged it all out of me like a suction cup. From a million miles away, I heard my old man shouting something, but it didn't matter. All I knew was that if I didn't hold on to that bar, it would be all over. We gradually spun to a stop, and finally the wire mesh door opened. My feet touched the blessed earth. On rubbery legs clinging weakly together, the three of us tottered past the turnstile as other victims were clamped into the torture chamber we had just left. "Great ride, eh, folks? I left you on a little longer because I could see the kids were really enjoying it," said the operator, pocketing the last of my father's change as we passed through the turnstile. "Thanks, it sure was great," said the old man with a weak smile, a bent cigarette hanging from his lips. He always judged a ride by how sick it made him. The nausea quotient of the rocket whip was about as high as they come.